There's a good correlation between the amount of muscle we have and insulin sensitivity. So why is that important? That's important because when we talk about the risks of diabetes, or family history of diabetes, or people living with pre-diabetes who are still very young, we have this fear of getting into this zone of insulin resistance. So are there any ways to prevent those? This video is for you. Hi, I'm Dr. Rashmi Kulkarni, co-founder of Next Solutions. Hi, I'm Dr. So when we talk about insulin resistance and insulin sensitivity, we know these terms when we are very familiar with diabetes and the impact it has on our health. Most of us have somebody in our family, in our friends, we know somebody who has diabetes, who has insulin resistance, and it is getting more and more and more common. So what can we do to counter it? There is one secret that we need to know, and there are top 5 things that we will break it down into. The secret is having more muscle. So why is having muscle very important? The reason for this is, the first one is that muscles use sugar independently of insulin. Whenever there is a blood sugar spike in our body, muscles use that sugar without going through insulin. So they still, if they are able to use the sugar, the more muscle we have, the more sugar we are going to use effectively. And we do not need an insulin spike to go with that. That is a very important reason to have more muscle in our body. What is the second thing that we need to know? In order to have muscles, we need to fuel it with the right source. What are muscles made of? We need a lot more protein in our diet to make these muscles. So having protein is very, very important. When we exercise and do not include enough protein, we cannot build those muscles efficiently. So we need more sources of protein. That is a very common problem that we see in people's diet, that it lacks enough protein to support building of muscles. The third important thing we need to know is that we need to diversify the kind of proteins that we eat. Whenever we are talking about lean proteins from animal sources like chicken breast, like fish, these are lean sources of protein. They do not come with unhealthy fats or carbs. So these are very healthy sources of protein. Then there are plant-based sources as well. There are many beans, lentils, even grains, nuts and seeds that are amazing sources of protein. The fourth important thing is that even if you are a vegetarian or vegan, you can still get proteins out of plant-based sources. So it is not impossible to have enough protein while being vegetarian or vegan. We just need to know the right sources of protein, as I mentioned before, that are beans, lentils, nuts and seeds. Soya bean, tofu, all of these are wonderful examples of rich sources of protein. And we also get all of the different kinds of amino acids that we need from this. The fifth important consideration is that building muscle is not about just showing these muscles or not just going to the gym and doing a few types of exercises. It is about building muscles. It is about supporting muscle growth by proteins, incorporating proteins in our diet. It is also by doing different kinds of exercises like flexibility, strength training, weightlifting, and all of these other different types of exercises are going to help us build the kind of muscle, burn the sugar that we are consuming, and keep us in the insulin sensitive zone. It is also important to allow for rest and recovery when we are exercising, allow repair of muscles when we are doing that. This is why muscles are very important to retain insulin sensitivity, to prevent our risks or minimize our risk of pre-diabetes or diabetes. So these are some of the tricks. The challenge is that try incorporating healthy sources of protein, support that with exercise, support that with rest and recovery also for good muscle growth. So this is a simple trick to remain in the insulin sensitive zone. Do hit the like button, do share and subscribe to our channel.